Picture this. You're at the very end of a long orthodontic treatment. The patient is absolutely thrilled, their teeth are perfectly aligned, and it's a great day in the clinic. You go in to remove a ceramic bracket, apply just a tiny bit too much pressure, and snap. It shatters right there in the patient's mouth. It is that dreaded, high-stakes clinical moment no practitioner ever wants to face. It literally turns a day of celebration into a stressful, sweaty emergency in seconds.
And that brings us to a really critical question. What actually happens when a routine debonding procedure goes wrong and damages a patient's enamel? Well, the consequences of improper technique can be pretty severe. We're talking permanent iatrogenic damage, compromised aesthetics, and a total breakdown of patient trust. So we really need to set the stage for safe, predictable practices to ensure this never, ever happens in your chair.
Welcome to the MedJam platform. This explanation is supervised by Dr. Jamal Farhan, an orthodontist, educationist, and international instructor. Today, we're going to cover 4 key areas. First, the objectives of safety bonding. Second, mechanical bracket removal methods. Third, complications with ceramic brackets. And fourth, safe adhesive cleanup techniques. All right, let's jump straight into Section 1, Objectives of Safe Debonding. Basically, our objective here is twofold. First up, we obviously need the complete removal of all orthodontic attachments and adhesives from the teeth. But equally important is our second goal. We have to restore those tooth surfaces as closely as possible to their pre-treatment condition. The absolute key here is doing all of this without inducing any iatrogenic damage to the enamel surface. We want to leave that enamel looking absolutely pristine, exactly how we found it. Moving right along to Section 2, Mechanical Bracket Removal Methods. Now, when we're mechanically removing a bracket, we generally contrast 2 primary approaches, and this is based entirely on where you apply your instrument. You've got the base method, which involves directly engaging the base of the bracket right at the adhesive interface. On the flip side, you have the wing method, which targets the tie wings of the bracket to leverage it off the tooth. And the tool you choose totally dictates the physics of the removal. If you grab a thin-bladed plier, you're primarily applying a squeezing force to distort that bracket base. But if you're using thicker-bladed pliers, like a Weingart or a Howe plier, you're applying a subsequent squeezing and peel-off force. That peeling action fundamentally changes the mechanics of how the bracket separates from the adhesive layer. This brilliantly illustrates exactly why mechanical debonding is the standard of care today. It offers some huge practical advantages for your clinic. First off, it's a highly time-efficient procedure. You get the hardware off quickly. Second, it utilizes the normal armamentarium you already have sitting in your office. You don't need any highly specialized, super expensive machinery to get that initial bracket off. Your standard high-quality pliers will get the job done beautifully. Okay, let's tackle Section 3. Complications with ceramic brackets. But what happens when the materials fight back? We all know patients highly request ceramic brackets for their aesthetic appeal, but they possess a major flaw: inherent brittleness. This brittleness can so easily lead to breakage during mechanical removal. And when a bracket fractures, the chunk that's left cemented to the tooth often needs to be ground down with a high-speed handpiece. That is incredibly time-consuming, and it dramatically increases the risk of damaging the underlying enamel. Here is the really scary part, though. The most severe problem is the risk of aspiration. If a ceramic bracket fractures, fragments can turn into flying debris, threatening the patient's oral mucosa, or, hey, even your own eyes. Worse still, ceramic is radiolucent. If a fragment is accidentally swallowed or aspirated by the patient, it is almost impossible to locate on an X-ray. It's like looking for a ghost. It is a terrifying clinical scenario that we absolutely must prevent. So, how do we stop this from happening? Let's walk through the exact preventative solution, step by step. First, grab a traditional crown-removing plier. Second, carefully engage the tips of the tool right under the tie wings to hold the bracket securely. Third, depress the lever using only gentle finger pressure to initiate a safe peeling motion away from the tooth. And step 4 is vital: absolutely no torquing of the plier. Torquing forces are exactly what caused that brittle ceramic to shatter into a million pieces. Actually, here's a quick, proactive pro tip before debonding even begins. To mitigate the risk of breakage from the very start, simply use a larger profile and size of ceramic brackets when you're planning the case. That added bulk provides way more structural integrity, meaning they're far less likely to fracture when those peeling forces are finally applied. Finally, let's dive into Section 4, Safe Adhesive Cleanup Techniques. Getting the bracket off without breaking it is a massive win for sure. But now we have to clean up the leftover adhesive without scratching the enamel right beneath it. It's important to realize just how much material we're dealing with here. Debonding of brackets usually leaves a residual adhesive volume of 0.6 to 2.5 millimeters on the enamel surface. To put that into perspective, that is a significant amount of microscopic composite terrain that you have to meticulously clear away.
So here is the precise clinical breakdown for that cleanup. Step 1. The bulk of the remaining adhesive may be removed with diamond or tungsten carbide burrs attached to a high-speed handpiece. But listen, you must keep these away from the enamel surface because they will cause considerable scratching. Step 2. As you get closer to the actual tooth, switch over to a low-speed handpiece with a round tungsten carbide burr. Step 3. Move the burr in a single, consistent direction to gently shave off those final resin layers. Now pay super close attention to this insider tip because it's a real game changer. Avoid water cooling at this stage. Running the low-speed burr completely dry initially is essential because it helps you visually distinguish the dull, opaque cement from the shiny, reflective enamel surface. If the tooth is wet, everything just looks glossy and blended together, making it incredibly easy to accidentally drill right into the healthy enamel. If you want to make visual contrast even easier, modern orthodontics offers some brilliant material innovations like Orthosem UV Trace. This is an adhesive that actually includes a built-in fluorescent tracer. When you expose it to specific ultraviolet energy, the cement emits this bright blue light. This fluorescence makes the residual cement visually pop right off the tooth, virtually eliminating the guesswork and beautifully preventing accidental enamel damage. To summarize this whole explainer, let's really lock in this high-yield clinical takeaway. Quote, the preferred method uses a low-speed handpiece with a round tungsten carbide burr. Water cooling is avoided to improve contrast. Always remember that protecting the patient's enamel relies entirely on proper burr selection, precise speed control, and maximizing your visual contrast. By following these structured steps, from understanding the physics of your pliers to running your finishing burrs dry, you ensure a flawless finish that leaves the patient with a perfect, undamaged smile. But ask yourself, as these adhesive technologies get even stronger in the future, how will our removal techniques need to evolve to keep protecting that enamel? Keep that in mind and continue learning with MedJam.